All right, another week in the books. Mileage on this one doesn't really matter. First kind of injury of triathlon training, and it's not a good one. It's not like a gnarly broken bone or something, but just one that is more of a hindrance and annoyance than it is a true injury. But we still were able to complete our long bike ride, brick run, and our long run. So not all bad, but we'll talk about this kiss of death. And we'll look at what happened this week.
New dawn, a new day. Still so tired from yesterday's run in high heat. Today it's post-work, another 97 degrees, but I'm swimming, so stoked about that. And gonna test out these little paddles. So probably do that for the warm-up portion to see how they feel, if the grips are right. I've been meaning to buy them for a while. I just haven't. So hopefully that makes things smoother, a little bit more interesting, more fun, break up the monotony that is swimming. So let's go do that. So we're about to do the bike ride, sprint thresholds today. We'll see how we get through. My left leg is just a little tired. So we'll work through this and then make some decisions afterward, but just stretched, hop on the bike for about 50 minutes, so shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. So we attempted the bike, did about 30 minutes and just didn't feel comfortable. It's not like I have an injury. It's more about proactive thinking and not trying to strain anything. So I think it's the outside of my left back of my left knee. And so I think just that run on Sunday in the high heat, I probably was a little bit tired, might have slipped up on form or been a little bit more sluggish, and probably just a little overdid it, overcompensated onto my left leg, and maybe just strained it a little bit, or it's a little tight. And so I did a long endurance swim yesterday. Swimming, use the paddles. Paddles were tight. The swim went well, but I could feel my left leg a little bit more. And then on the bike, I probably could have finished the workout, but I don't want to risk anything once you get up to, we're doing sprints at 300 watts, so a little bit higher threshold. I just didn't want to risk anything, right? I'd rather take the next 48 hours off and kind of get a sense check of how it feels, then try to push through it this far out and then put myself further back. So you just take one step at a time. Not stoked about it, but glass half full, just focus on recovery, some hydration. Still going to get some steps in, but just going to take today. And then I was already planning on taking the sprints off tomorrow, so it kind of works that way. And then on Thursday, we'll see, or tomorrow evening, we'll see how we're feeling if we're going to do the second swim of the week. Today's Friday. It's been 3 days off, including today, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The knee is feeling better. Gotta go drive down about 2 hours to headline a comedy show, but the rest has been good. Good for kind of mental strength as well. And the body just feels good. So tomorrow we do a 3-hour brick session, then a long run. And so not stoked about pausing training, but I think it maybe was, training giving me a sign just to relax a little bit more. All right, it's currently 7 a.m. They said I couldn't do it. I'm up, I'm early, 7 a.m., 5 hours of sleep. Did a show last night in Eugene, which is about 180 miles away. And then I got another show, and I got to meet a friend for lunch. So had to get up early to do the bike ride, which I've been trying to do, so this is good motivation. We got 3 hours, 15 minutes with two 15-minute zone 4 interval sessions in the middle, and then a 20-minute run after that. And I think I found a triathlon to do as kind of a warm-up this summer. So we'll talk about that after the sprint sessions. Then, as always, 3 bottles of carbs, and then water. Then one of these, that one, is some amino acids for a little bit of energy. So let's get after it. So that is the ride. Final 2 minutes here. Kind of spin the legs a little bit before the run. But yeah, I think I found a little Olympic distance triathlon. So 1,500 meter swim, 20-mile bike,
and then a 10K. And so that's in about a month from now. So I just gotta get a helmet. The bike will be tuned up. I think that'll be a good kind of, practice run. Nothing too crazy, maybe 3 hours, but just kind of get used to being in an active environment with other triathletes. Bike ride went well. We're at 61 miles. Leg feels fine, so stoked about that. Then we're gonna do a 20-minute run and then kind of take another drive down to Eugene for another comedy show, but getting a little more pumped for finally finding a triathlon to kind of do a run through in at that Olympic distance, which is nice as well, with an open water swim. So yeah, not too bad. Time to brick off this and go do 20 minutes.
It's about 10:40 a.m. Got a hour 45-minute runs. Really hoping to break 11 miles now that it's not burning hot. I took some days rest, so let me get that 11-mile work. Zone 2. And so I'm trying this new belt. Tried it yesterday. Essentially what I'll work with is 2 gels, every 35 minutes, which should go into this little portion, which they do. And then phone will go in here, like that. And then I did get this water container thing. So this has some like Noon electrolytes with 40 milligrams of caffeine. First time trying caffeine. And that will go back here. Like that, I guess. So now that I have some nutrition, won't bonk. Obviously it's not 90 degrees or 95 degrees or 100 or 35 or 37 Celsius. So we're gonna stretch, we'll hit this run, and then if anything's going crazy, we'll check in. If not, we'll see how it is post-run. Okay, we're 6 miles in. Pace feels fine. As you can tell, I'm walking uphill. My knee, the LCL, I think, I don't know, just isn't comfortable, and I'm not trying to push it, so I have to kind of walk up these hills, and then once I get back, try to evaluate what the next game plan is, see if there's some more rest, some ice, maybe do an ice bath, some heat. I think it's just tense, a little tight, so 6 miles in though, halfway there. All right, run finished up, 11 and a half miles. Gonna get some food and some hydration, and then we'll kind of recap how that run went. All right, post run, we did 11 and a half miles. During that run, I was like, this is the run, The leg was hurting a little bit, but it was more of an annoyance. Through the first 7 miles, pace was good, going about 8:45, zone 2. And then started to hit that kind of negative split when I run. So I do the first portion downhill, then to a flat, and then the last portion is uphill, right? So negative split, you're going a little faster downhill. Uphill, obviously you kind of slow down a little bit to balance out, and then flat, you run your normal sesh. So that's usually about 3 to 4 miles each of those. And so the downhill and the flat felt fine, but then I started pushing uphill, and my leg just kind of started to be a little bit more on top of mine, where you kind of build the mental toughness and be like, I can get through this. And it felt, good. Pushed through it. We made it. We did our 11 and a half. And then I started to cool down, and, I ate and fueled, and then it just really started to tighten up. And then about an hour later, I could tell that my right knee in the same kind of area was starting to develop the same type of wiggle, so to speak. And so I think it's like the LCL, or maybe like what I want to call the kiss of death in triathlon training is like an IT band syndrome. And that's what it seems like it is after doing a little bit of that research, essentially extending from the hip down to the side of the knee, the back of the knee, that your IT band gets real tight. And it's the first time I've had that. It's not like I've been jumping crazy volumes, but I think when I did that heat run, like the heat training run on accident,
is that I got real tired. And I was starting to lose form and maybe push my knees outwards a little bit, get a little bit more lazy, and just kind of overdid it on my left side. And so today I overcompensated to my right side while my left side was still a little tired. And so the reason why I call it the kiss of death is because really the only thing you can do for IT band syndrome is take some time off, do some physical therapy or stretching, and then slowly check back in. And so that's a bummer, but you got to kind of take it how it is. Luckily, if I'm far enough out and this is happening now, I can start doing the strength training to fix that. And also, I think this run was still very beneficial because even with that annoyance, you start to build those mental victories. I don't believe in saying like that run wasn't that hard. It was hard, but I want to give myself credit for completing it. And so mentally, I think that's a victory. And I still think when I look back and we make it to the actual race day, is that I'll have been prepared for that situation, whether it's high heat or a little bit of uncomfort, and done my diligence to at least have some strength there or know where the line is to slow down or walk, run. And so still super stoked. Took a couple days off, but ultimately, these past 2 days I basically did a half Ironman, right? We did a mile, 1.2 mile swim. We did 60 miles on the bike, and then today we basically did the half marathon. And so, of course, it's spread over a few days, but that's a huge victory. So I'm going to take the next 10 days off and just try to do active recovery and kind of work through a game plan of what that looks like, so that way I don't have to take too long of a period. And so that's what we'll do leading into next week, and we'll kind of talk through what that recovery strategy is going to look like for me and the IT bands, I guess.